Welcome back to the Big Ranch Show. Thank you for joining me. Now, this person you see in this picture here is 16-year-old Ralph Yarl. Ralph was headed to pick up his siblings back on the 13th of April. He was running an errand to pick them up and bring them home, and instead of going to what I believe the articles I've read said was supposed to have been 115th Terrace, he went to 115th Street. And there he met clearly a delusional and very likely a racist homeowner named Andrew Lester. Now, we're still waiting for more details to come out about Mr. Lester, but what we do know is a black teenager accidentally rang his doorbell, and Mr. Lester fired away. He told police he never said a word to Mr. Yarl, never asked him any questions, never asked him why he was there, just fired through a locked glass door. Is that how we do things here in America now? Ralph is 16 years old, and luckily he survived this gunshot to his head. He's doing okay, but he's got a long road. I mean, how many more times does something like this have to happen? On Friday, I brought you the story of Kaylin Gillis, who was shot simply because her friends turned around in the driveway. You've got a few other cases that I'll bring you later this week where people are getting shot for no reason. Ralph here was absolutely innocent. Wasn't being aggressive, wasn't trying to hurt nobody, was just trying to pick up his siblings and go home. And because he went to the wrong door, he could be dead today. The family could be saying goodbye to their 16-year-old today. If you don't see a problem with this, you're part of the problem. Now, some people are saying the guy will probably get off because of stand your ground laws. Well, maybe that's the case. But here's the thing. Stand your ground laws, basically you have to be able to prove that you were in fear for your life, right? How can you be in fear for your life by somebody ringing your doorbell? Now, according to Lester's grandson, Mr. Lester spends all his time, all day, 24/7 basically, glued to Fox News. And what does Fox News teach old white men to do? Fear black men. Fear the other. If they're not white, be scared of them. That's what Fox News teaches all these old men. They're trying to replace you, they say. They teach that ever since Trayvon Martin, for sure, Fox News has been the network for be scared of young black teens. That's what they've said for years. So it's no surprise to me that a man that would spend his entire day at 84 years old staring at a TV with Fox News on all day would come to the conclusion that his life is under threat because a black teenager rang his doorbell. Now, Mr. Lester says he was scared for his life because of the size of Mr. Yarl. I've seen multiple pictures of Mr. Yarl. He ain't the biggest kid in the world. Now, could I be wrong? Could Mr. Lester not be a racist? Sure. But it's hard to believe that he didn't shoot this kid because he was black and on his front porch. All this guy did was try to go pick up his siblings. It's disgusting. But let me read you a little bit of what took place with Mr. Yarl. It says here on April 13th, 2023, Ralph Yarl, 16-year-old African-American teenager, was shot and wounded after ringing the doorbell of the wrong house in Kansas City, Missouri. Yarl was attempting to pick up his twin brothers and ended up at the wrong address, according to his family members. Now, the police chief in Kansas City are saying that they treat everything seriously, that they are looking into this, and everything. But here's the thing. Let's talk about it. He was initially picked up by police, or taken into custody by police, Mr. Lester, and then immediately released later. Right? They released him very shortly, within hours. No charges, no nothing. He had to turn himself in later. Now let me ask you something. If the tables were turned, if Mr. Lester was the 16-year-old boy, and Mr. Yarl was the 84-year-old delusional homicidal maniac with a gun, do you think he would have been released at all after that shooting? The answer is no. Not in Kansas City, Missouri. From everything I've seen, Ralph here was a good teenage kid. I've seen pictures where he apparently plays saxophone in the band. He was liked by a lot of the people in the community. And then just for going to the wrong door, his life was potentially altered forever. He is a very lucky young man. He is a very lucky person to be alive. And I hope Mr. Lester spends the rest of his life in prison. I know he probably doesn't have much left. He's 84. But I'm not going to let his age be an excuse. I'm not going to let his delusions be an excuse. I don't do that. Unlike other people, I do not make excuses for gun violence. I don't care who commits it. If someone rings your doorbell, that is not a reason to murder somebody or try to murder somebody. Mr. Lester has now been charged, and I believe is out on his own recognizance at this point after posting bail. That I think was set at like $200K. But tell me, is this the America that we want to live in? Is this the America that we're happy about? Is this the America where people chant, "We're number one, we're number one"? Because, back in the 80s and 90s, race relations weren't great. But I couldn't tell you how many times I heard growing up that a white guy shot a black kid on his front porch for ringing a doorbell. And I grew up in the South. I grew up in Texas. East Texas at that. And if there was a place where I thought something like that would happen, it'd be in the South. Especially in Deep East Texas. But you know what? We didn't do that. As tense as race relations were back at that point in time, we didn't do that. But people with guns had more responsibility back then, right? They didn't go off and just shoot random people. Like I was told by my mother a long time ago when I was like 8 or 9 years old, never point a gun at somebody unless you're intending to use it. But these people don't have any responsibility. The idea of the responsible gun owner is going out the window. Clearly. I'm sorry this happened, Ralph. It's absolutely tragic that in 2023 we have people that are so pent up and so ready to murder people that someone knocks on the door or rings their doorbell and bang bang is their response. Not, hi, how are you? Not, hey, what are you doing? Hey, who are you? Why are you here? Because all the man had to do was ask the kid, what are you doing here? Through his locked glass door. Ralph would have said, I'm here to pick up my kid, or my brothers. At which point, the man could have said, I think you have the wrong place. Then the kid could have found a way to find a phone from somewhere and get a hold of his parents or his mother and be like, hey, or whoever the family, whoever his guardian is. And be like, hey, where am I supposed to be? But you see, this old man didn't allow that to happen. This old man just went straight to homicidal maniac. It's not right. It's not right at all. So, I hope that man goes to prison for the rest of his life. Andrew Lester clearly shot this guy. So there's no allegedly to it at this point. We know he shot him. Now the question is, was it because he wanted to murder him out of cold blood? Is he going to use the self-defense and use stand your ground laws to protect himself when he clearly wasn't in fear for his life? It's an excuse people have been using for a good few years now to get away with homicide. And it's pathetic. It's also pathetic because stand your ground laws don't go both ways. At least not in most of the states that have them. If it's a white guy that shoots somebody that he's scared of, he gets away with it. If it's a black guy who shoots a white guy because he's scared of the white guy, he goes to prison. So I hope he's not able to use the defense. I hope it's thrown out. Or rejected by a jury and he goes to prison. For Mr. Yarl, I hope your road to recovery is not as long as some are saying it's going to be. But I will definitely be keeping you in my thoughts and hoping that you progress. I'm sorry that this happened to you. I'm sorry that you were just trying to pick up your brothers and you got shot at and shot for your effort. Just doing what any big brother would do. My brother and I don't get along at all. I've basically cut him out of my life at this point. But you know the one thing that my brother would have done for me when I was a kid? When he was driving, he would have come pick me up from wherever I needed to be. From wherever I was if I needed to come home. And to think, this day and age, he could have made a wrong turn and been gunned down. Have more videos to come this week. Hopefully I'll be getting I keep planning to get my camera brought over here and my microphone brought into this onto this computer, but I don't have a whole lot of room where I'm at currently for that. And my other computer that I've been making these videos on over the last few years until I guess the last year, it's not really doing well. But I'm planning to upgrade some of the quality pretty soon. I'm going to get myself a new video editing software, and I'm going to get my camera moved in over here, maybe a better microphone plugged into the computer, and we'll see what happens. But anyhow, good luck, and I'll see you down the road.